Gross profit is very important to you as a small business owner, and you know how to work that out. Am I right? Cool. You know the percentages are important, eh? Not the actual number. To me, the percentages are more important than the actual number, and I'll share that with you in a moment. If you have got a year-on-year, or I would like to say a month-on-month, or if you like a week-on-week calculation of your gross profit, that gross profit figure can tell you something. If the gross profit is declining, it means usually one of three things. Number one, your cost of sales is too high. Or maybe the people that you're buying from have increased their prices and you haven't increased your price. So have a look at your cost of sales if your gross profit is going down. Maybe your supplier needs to be changed. Maybe you need to renegotiate with your supplier. That's the easy one. The second one is, and I know the people in Gauteng don't do this, maybe the sales aren't being put through the books. Okay. So those friends of ours that are out there that are doing this, if you don't put your cash sales in through the books because you don't want to pay the bank charges, or is there anyone from a receiver of revenue here? No? That is an indication to us, we are looking at it, that something's wrong here, and maybe it is that you're not putting the sales through the books. And that affects your gross profit. Thirdly, the accountants, the bookkeepers, you call this shrinkage. As lawyers, we call it theft. Okay. So if your gross profit is declining, and it's not your cost of sales, and it's not the fact that there's people that you know that are putting no money, the cash sales through the books, it might mean your staff are helping themselves. Okay, so be very aware. That's how important gross profit is. You know the difference between an employer and an employee? Do you know? Who looks forward to the end of the month? Employees. Exactly. Okay, so just be aware that gross profit can tell you there's something wrong somewhere, and it helps you to identify where to look for it. Markups and discount. Now, if you do the following calculation, ladies, and this is a very important calculation. If I am buying this product for 200 Rand, and I'm selling it for 300 Rand, what is my markup? 100 Rand. But what is my markup percentage? 100 divided by 200 times by 100. Can I say that again? So it's my 100, which is my markup, divided by 200 times 100 will give me my percentage. That's 50%, am I right? Okay. Now, if you've got a 50% markup, your gross profit will be about 33%. So if you start fiddling with your markups, guess what's going to happen to your gross profit? It's going to go down, or it's going to go up, depending on what you do with your markup. So I hate giving discount. I'm very honest with you. Okay. Because I know the impact of discount on my gross profit is huge. You can write this example down if you like. If I discount my 300 Rand selling price by 10%, so in other words, I'm now selling for 270 Rand rather than 300 Rand. Do you know how much harder my gross profit has to work to get to this equivalent? Who wants to give me a guess? How much more do I have to sell to get to the same gross profit if I mark up, if I discount by 10% and my markup is 50%? 43% harder. So in order to get to the same point in gross profit, if I give a 10% discount in that example, 43% harder. So just be aware of discounts. They can really eat into your product, into your profits. So as a person that is buying, here's a rule. Always ask for gross profit. Discount. Always ask for discount. Okay? Because it'll increase your profits. If you're selling stuff, don't give discount. Okay? All right. But if you are in the situation where you ask for discount, Sometimes it's embarrassing to say no. Do you agree? So here's a little tip that I've learned through the years. First of all, ask the customer, what kind of discount would he be happy with? Imagine the message you're giving to your customer. If you go in a proposal and you say to the financial director, sir, for these 5 interventions in your business, I'm going to charge you 20,000 Rand, as an example. And the guy looks at you, he says, my budget's only 14,000. And you say, okay, I'll do it for 14,000 Rand then. What message are you giving? Desperate. Pricing is not right. So maybe you want to do this. You go, so let me just, I've got to do some calculations.
Negotiate upwards.
Negotiate upwards. Yes, that's a good point. You can never negotiate up, but you can always negotiate down. Okay. So what I do is I say to the guy, listen, let me just check something. So I go on my smartphone, Facebook and Twitter and all these things that Mark talks about, and I come back and I say, I tell you what, sir, I can do it for 14,000 Rand. But of those 5 interventions, which 2 can I leave out? Is that not a better way of negotiating a discount rather than saying, okay, I'm desperate for this job? Okay, if you're selling product, this is what I've come across, and I've shared this with some of my own friends and clients, and they say it seems to work. So I'll share it with you because you're my friends. So I want to buy from you some plastic buckets. And let me do it the other way around. You say, these buckets cost 200 Rand. And I say to you, man, you know what? Can you give me discount? Oh, now you're in a difficult situation. Because you don't want to lose the deal, but you also don't want to make the guy feel uncomfortable. And so what do? So this is it works for me. I say, tell you one moment, sir. Let me go and check my price list, my catalog. And I go away around the corner, and I do the same thing again. And I come back and I say, sir, I can actually give you 10% on those 2 buckets. But, unfortunately, the stock must be 4 buckets. In other words, buy an extra 2, then I'll give you the 10%. He doesn't feel so bad, and you don't feel so bad, because if he doesn't want the extra 2, you haven't given the discount. But if he does want the discount, he's going to buy an extra 2 product for me. Not so. So just, ladies and gentlemen, when you're doing financial management, just be aware of the impact of discounts. It really is devastating to the bottom line if you don't do it properly. And I'm not for one moment saying don't ever give discount. I'm saying is if you want to break the rules, you need to know the rules. So have a look at the impact of that discount on your bottom line before you just say, yes, I'll do it. Very importantly, from a net profit perspective, what can net profit tell you? Well, it tells you the following. It tells you how good you are managing your operating expenses. So if you look at your telephone bill on a month-to-month basis and you see, man, this telephone bill is climbing, you can ask the question, why is it climbing? Maybe you were working on a big tender. Maybe you were working on a big deal and you needed to phone trunk calls a lot. Maybe you had to send a lot of faxes, that kind of thing. So have a look at your operating expenditure on a month-to-month basis. If you're on dial-up internet, I save myself a lot of money by going on to ADSL because dial-up takes so long. Okay? My telephone system is very close to home because my telephone bill was climbing. And fortunately, I attended a talk by Thayne, Niemand, and he said I must put a telephone management system in his business. So I put a telephone management system in my business, and I could pick out where the phone calls were going, who was making them, how long they were on the phone, and my good lady was spending 1,200 Rand a month on private phone calls. Okay, she paid it back, and then I got rid of her. As a labor consultant, I can do these things properly. Okay, so have a look at what your net profit's telling you. Operating expenditures in your handout towards the back, there's a budget, gives you an example of some of the operating expenses that you need to bring into your business. But again, as I said right in the beginning, if you don't have a benchmark, how do you control this? How do you know that that telephone bill is going up if you're not checking it on a monthly basis? Thank you.